is Access Door County, and I am your host, Victoria Cerinich. On today's program, we will learn about the Door County Sister City Initiative. Our guests will report on the recent Door County trip and on future opportunities from this program. With me, I have Executive Director Bill Chaudoir of the Door County Economic Development Corporation and William Schuster, who is the county conservationist with the Door County Soil and Water Department. Welcome, Bill and Bill.
Thank you very much.
I'm so glad you're here to share this with us. I understand that this trip you took was only this recent fall, 2013. And which one of you would like to open and tell us something about the trip?
I think I'm going to do that, Victoria.
Okay.
It's about the sister city of Jingdezhen, which is located in China, approximately 300 miles from Shanghai and about 1,000 miles from Beijing. And what we hope to do today is to share our visit. Bill and I led a 10-person delegation to China, and then also to talk a little bit about some opportunities. And the slide number 2, if you're looking at this slide, you can see a couple different landmarks which will help people who know a little bit about China where Jingdezhen is located. To the upper right, you'll see Beijing, which, as I said, is about 1,000 miles to the north. And then about 300 miles to the right and a little bit towards the top of the screen is Shanghai. Slide number 3. Door County began the sister city relationship in 2004. And since 2004, there's been 3 or 4 Chinese delegations to come and visit here. And they've been multi-person delegations. Door County has sent 2 different one-person delegations. In 2012, Bill Chaudoir and I were asked to look at the sister city relationship and explore what could be done to strengthen it and grow it. Mm-hmm. Our first step in that was in October of 2013, Bill and I co-led a 10-person delegation.
Bill, if I can interrupt just for a second, those are 10 people from Door County, yourselves and 8 other Door County residents?
Yes.
That's really, really interesting that we had the opportunity to go to China and in such a friendly exchange. Were they all professional people? Were there, what was the demographic of your group?
On slide 4, we have a picture of the delegation. And if you look to the far left, that first person, his name is Shi Bing. And he was our contact as we were preparing for the trip. He actually goes as Parker to make it easier for those of us who don't speak Chinese that well. Starting from the left, and I'll just give you the names of the 10 delegation members, is Kent Cruz. And Kent is a retired veterinarian who lives in Sturgeon Bay. The next person is John Dietrich. John is a potter in the Ellison Bay area. Then in the upper, next person moving to the right is Charlie Mose. And Charlie Mose was the county board chairman, and Charlie was the first person to travel to China representing us in the sister city relationship, and that was one of the one-person delegations. Continuing across is Diane McNeil. She is also a potter and John Dietrich's partner. Then the next 2 people is Bill Chaudoir and his wife Cheryl. Mm-hmm. Then the next 2 is myself in the background and my wife Sonia. And then on the far right is Mike Madden, who was a teacher here at Sebastopol and now is presently with Raybrook. And then in the front is Jenner Cruz, who I think she was an educator and is the wife of Kent. So it's a real diverse group, which is exactly what we want. I think it's important to point out that all the people in the delegation paid their own way, and the Chinese, our great hosts, they provided us with lodging, paid for all our meals and transportation. So,
transportation within the country after you
after we
arrived.
got there, it was the responsibility of each person in the delegation to travel to Shanghai. And slide number 5. Is Shanghai, and what we did, the delegation met in Shanghai near the airport, and then we traveled together to Jingdezhen. And it's important to point out Shanghai just in the contrast, because we're hoping to do is to get future people from Door County to travel, and the most direct route is to go to Shanghai. And it's quite an interesting city, and just a couple statistics. It's got a population of 24 million people, and its footprint is approximately the same size as Door County. And if you spread everybody in Door County out, we'd have about 60 people per square mile. Shanghai, if you spread everyone out, it'd be about 9,600 people per square mile. So it's quite a city. And the view on slide number 6 is looking across at the area of what's known as the Pudong. And it gives you an idea of how quickly China is developing. This area in 1990 was just basically warehouses. Mm-hmm. It's now the Manhattan of Asia. It is the financial district, which actually challenges New York.
It's quite a skyline in your slide.
It's an incredible skyline, and if you look closely at it, you'll see the river. And every night there is a parade of boats, all with neon lights on, that both commercial and recreational boats that continue on. And all the buildings in the Pudong, the neon lights are all changing. It's an incredible view. It's worth the trip.
Victoria, maybe your listeners would be interested to know that the cost of traveling, flying to China and back, at least our round trip ticket was about $1,400 per person. For my wife and myself. The cost for each of us was about $1,400.
And you flew out of Austin-Straubel?
We did. Yep.
Oh, that's great. So you made a change and only one flight then? Was it direct, nonstop then?
That was the plan. Again, we had some plane problems. We ended up we were supposed to go through Detroit to Shanghai, and we ended up going through Chicago, New York to Shanghai. On the way back, we came through Seattle and Minneapolis.
Oh, okay. So it was interesting. Yeah. Life is interesting.
We saw a lot of airports.
Okay.
I think another good point to tell the listeners about is if they travel to China, which we hope they will do, travel in China is not a heck of a lot different than traveling in the United States. They have very efficient railroad systems and modern airports, and it's pretty straightforward traveling and a comparable cost or even a little less for traveling.
Some of the airports were the most beautiful and modern airports in the world. It's phenomenal.
Well, it's a recent industrial development in China, so I could see why they would be. Yeah. We have this sister city relationship. It was begun by both cities, or how did it start up?
It started by a gentleman by the name of Brian Linden, who I think he had some Madison business operations. He also today has a business in Ellison Bay. It's a Linden Chinese antique business in a former church there in downtown Ellison Bay. And he was the one who, knowing Door County, all the ceramics and a lot of the arts and culture that exists here, thought that, and he studied China. I think he has a PhD in Chinese languages and such, and he had done a lot of traveling in China, so he knew that the birthplace of ceramics and porcelain was Jingdezhen, and he knew that was a dominant industry, and there's tremendous opportunities of learning and exchange. So he was the one who suggested to the county government that they create the sister city relationship.
Okay, so this specific sister city starts out being based on that ceramic
absolutely.
Need to understand and to learn more about the ceramics and how it evolved and what the processes are. And, so tell me something about what happened when you got there.
Well, slide number 7. Jensen's thing in the slide that you're looking at, that's the airport, and it's a modern airport, not real large, but it's a city of 1.5 million people. And it's, as Bill said, it's known as the porcelain ceramics capital of the world. They've been doing ceramics for almost 2,000 years. It was the location of the royal kilns. At one time, that the only porcelain that was being made was for the royalty. And that was that initial connection, was that relationship. I think what's important, and if we go on to slide 8, is that a sister city relationship is multifaceted. It started with the arts, with Jensen's thing, that would be the connection. But really, it's about all the walks of life, and that's why our diverse delegation made sense too. And on slide number 8, there's a formal relationship part of it, where it's government to government. And when we were there, I think on our first or second day, we had a meeting with presence and speeches and such with their, I think it was his assistant mayor and some representatives of the party. And if you go on to slide number 9, then another part of the whole sister city relation is education. And it's formal education, where we look forward to the opportunity for students and teachers to go back and forth, but it's also education of regular people to each other, to learn who we are, to maybe make this world a little bit smaller of a place. And on the slide that you're looking at, that's the Jingdezhen Ceramic School. Jingdezhen has a university of about 10,000 students, and they have 10 schools within the university. One of them is the Jingdezhen Ceramic School, and that's the one that we visited, and we'll be talking about an opportunity real soon. Slide number 10. The trip was timed to go to be at the same time as the International Ceramics Fair. I think it's every year that Jingdezhen sponsors the ceramics fair of the world. And there's people from all over the world. You can see the large building in the background. I think there was a couple of those buildings, multi-story, that were just completely full of very impressive ceramics and porcelain.
Okay, if I can ask, so then this was October of 2013, and there was an international fair taking place when you arrived. This was also this was on purpose so that you could see that. So you met not only people in China related to this project, but there were other people from other countries there. So there was a whole melting pot, a whole opportunity to exchange information.
Oh yes, and Jingdezhen has 4 sister cities. They have a city in the Netherlands, in Italy, and in Korea. And a number of those people were staying at the same hotel we were staying at. And it's a very important event in Jingdezhen. The TV reporters were there, and we actually were stopped, and some of the people wanted to take pictures of us because they had seen us on television the night before. So it's a real important event. Slide number 11. Then the main industry in Jingdezhen is ceramics. I think Bill was pointing out before that they have a large helicopter industry, but their main industry is ceramics. And the slide that we're showing here is of the smaller shops. Then these shops range from small family-run operations to very large factories. And it's impressive, particularly for people like Bill and I, Bill in Economic Development and myself in conservation. This isn't our expertise, but we certainly were impressed with the whole artistry of it all. Slide number 12. One of the stops we went to, which really reinforced this whole art, is the Ceramic Museum. And when you look at that slide, there's a band playing across the top. There's 2 pictures. All the instruments are made out of porcelain. And you can see there's tables. As you travel through Jingdezhen, they have light posts that are made out of porcelain. There was even a drainage ditch that was lined with broken porcelain. It was very beautiful. It was piece art. So they really do focus on it. And our first slide with the dragon, as you enter the city, this very large dragon is porcelain. Slide number 13. And these are a couple of the examples of the ceramics that we were talking about. Slide number 14. What's real important as we try to develop the sister city relationship in Door County. As we pointed out in the past, it was just one visitor going over there, and this was the 10-person delegation we hope is the start of a new phase of the sister city. And we have these photos of the Jingdezhen culture, but what it's supposed to represent is how well they treated us. They just didn't drop us off at the conference.
So you did more than go to a fair, an international exposition, and go to a school. There was dining, there was other entertainment,
Yes.
there was meeting with government officials, and did you get the keys to the city?
We got a vase.
Well, that's
which is more appropriate for
this kind of visit, right?
And slide number 15. Another part certainly of a sister city relationship is economic development and trade. And as you look at this slide, Bill and I had a number of meetings, and Bill certainly was the lead on that, where we were discussing opportunities to do direct trade with Jingdezhen vendors, but also look at some opportunities by which there could be some economic development within Ginseng. And
We took along a lot of our Door County products.
Oh, great.
Coffee, cherries, wine, jams. We had a nice selection of stuff, and we brought enough for it to leave and have people taste and give us some feedback whether they thought that was a product that might have some
Interest
opportunity
their
to sell
market,
there.
yeah.
Exactly. So well, our Parker, our contact there, introduced us to a store that's all they handled was international products, and so one of our opportunities to follow up on is to connect with the wholesaler that supplies those kinds of stores, and hopefully we can do some trade.
Sure, it was certainly good to have something with our cherry products, and we've got cherries and apples. I suppose we could ship apple pie, I'm not sure that, or cherry pie, I'm not sure how that would be received in China, but, you know.
It's all good.
It's all good.
slide number 16, Victoria, you brought up that we did more than just go to the meetings, and we wanted to show that slide just to emphasize how well we were treated. And the gentleman right in the center of this picture is Yanjun, and we're going to be working closely with him on several of the opportunities, and as Bill talks about those at the end of our discussion, we'll mention his name often. And Yanjun has a foot in both cultures. And one thing Bill and I learned, that to make any one of these opportunities work out, we need to work with people who have a somewhat of understanding of both cultures. And Yanjun has been to Door County at least one of the delegations. He got his master's degree at UW-Milwaukee. He's working on his PhD right now in Beijing in archaeology. His family is in the pottery business, has some hospitality business, and he's also well connected with both the government and the party, which is a real important relationship as you move forward with our relationship in some of the development.
Okay, I think I'm going to take over now and lead us through a few more slides. From Jingdezhen, we went to Dali, which is in far western part of China. Now, this is, again, a trip that we all did on our own, and we went there because we were invited by Brian Linden, again, our Door County founder of the Sister City program. He now operates an eco resort in a suburb called Xizhou of Dali, and it's been very successful. He not only has built his first facility, he's taken a kind of a relic that's in disrepair. That was a residence of a wealthy family back in the day, and he's renovated that into a full class. I don't know how many stars. Treated us like 4-star, 5-star facility. Wonderful restaurant, great food, great entertainment. The rooms are very accommodating. So he's made a world-class destination for people to come visit that part of China. He's done not only at Linden Center 1, we stayed in Linden Center 2, and he's just recently received permission from the government to do Linden Center 3.
Okay, if I can ask, because I'm a little, so you went pretty far from Shanghai to go to Dali, to go to the Linden Center. What is the destination there? When you are there, what other, do you see more of the surrounding, are you near the Great Wall?
Well, geographically, maybe I can help a little bit for the viewer. Geographically, if you go from Shanghai and go due west, we were not far from the border with Myanmar, and we could see the foothills of what becomes the Himalayas. Okay. So for the picture, and it's a well-known destination for tourists, not just for the Linden Center, but for many years for the culture and the mountains.
I think thank you. That was my question. Did you take a train to get there, though?
We investigated taking a train, but that would have taken 33 hours, so we...
Oh, you flew?
We ended up flying up.
Okay.
The trains are great, but 33 hours is a long time.
No, that isn't a lot of train.
It's a big country.
Yes.
And we went from one coast to the far west coast, or west border. So anyway, there's additional slides here that you can see life in Xizhou and near the Linden Center. But what makes it an eco resort is it's just not just a place to come and stay for a few days and enjoy and relax. Yeah, you can do that. But if you take advantage of all the offerings there, you can learn about the culture. He takes you on market tours. We went up into the mountains and picked tea leaves. We came back to the center, dried those leaves, made tea for ourselves that day. We went to downtown Dali, which is an old walled community, very popular tourist destination. We enjoyed a lot of opportunities there. There's a large freshwater lake in this community that we did a bike tour there. So it was a fascinating location, and the Lindens have a wonderful staff that are bilingual that help you understand the culture and the language of that region. And there's a lot of ethnic groups that are having influence in that region.
Do you, so there are educational opportunities if you want to take advantage of them when you're there?
Absolutely.
So a Linden Center is more than a place to stay.
Yeah.
And you can visit the tourist attractions. And the Linden Center is also involved in ceramics too, or?
I think that's something they want to get into, but I don't think they have a program there yet, but that's something they're working on. Yep. But they really get you ingrained in the culture of that rural China, Western China community. So then from there, we all kind of went our own way, and we eventually came back home. But we went to, my wife and I went to Xi'an, where the terracotta warriors are,
Yes.
to Beijing, and saw the Great Wall and the Forbidden City and things like that. So and Bill went a south direction.
Sonia and I traveled to a place called Guilin. We had been there once. We had been to China once before. And Guilin is, we often talk about karst geology and sinkholes of Door County. Guilin is this area of very ancient karst. If you look at the old water paintings of China and on their money, that's that area. It's a magical place to go. You can't even describe it. It's magical.
Such beautiful scenery,
It's
yeah.
beautiful.
So we want to finish up our program today to share some of the really exciting opportunities that this program has available for residents of Door County if they would hope to take advantage of these opportunities. This is a very different culture than we're used to, so there's a tremendous amount to understand and learn. We're just at the very beginning point of understanding all what this opportunity could be. But Jingdezhen has a formal sister city program, as Bill's mentioned. There's 3 other sister cities in the world that they work with, and they have a department of city government that deals with sister city relationships and growing those relationships. So we're very naive, and we're just at the baby steps stage here in Door County. But so they've made us some very phenomenal offers to
You
help
have a
us.
slide on that?
We do. Slide 28 is the 28 and 29 kind of lay out some of the offerings that they've made to us. First and foremost, there will be more travel between the two cities, we predict. Probably in 2015, they would probably send another delegation. About every other year, they're sending delegations here. They were here in 2013, so we expect they'll come back. We'd like to do a better job of hosting them, keep them here more than a day the next time, and give them a really good understanding of all the diversity that we have here in Door County.
And I think what is important, and we said in the beginning, and Bill alluded to, is we need to build a program that has community support and a larger base, not just county government or not just economic development. We need the community, education, arts, business, to build this, to make it in the type of relationship and treat them the way they treat delegations that come.
Well, in order to do that, have you some plans on how you are going to communicate this information
Well,
here?
we're doing things like this, Victoria, and we appreciate you giving us this invitation to do this. We want to get the word out about what our experience was and where some of these things can go. But as we're trying to convey here, is we need more help. We need more volunteers to step forward and participate. We're going to man up a committee, a sister city committee that will divide up these work tasks and try to further them. We can do so much more if we have a few more people involved.
Well, how would people contact you to learn more, or which of you should?
Well, we got a
which
number
Bill?
of opportunities that maybe you could talk about.
Yeah,
how to
the
contact.
last slide in the program will give them our contact information. Before we get there, so I mentioned we'll be hosting more delegates in the future from Jingdezhen. I suspect we'll be invited to visit there again, probably I'm guessing October of 2015. That's, again, every other year they've been inviting us to this International Ceramic Fair. So people who would like to travel, I mean, get Bill or I their name, so we can start a list of people who have an interest.
And start answering questions.
Exactly.
Right.
There's a lot, there's a certain hesitation that people who haven't traveled a lot or haven't traveled to a somewhat off the beaten path, some reassurance that it's really not that difficult at all.
And you could take this show on the road, so if there are other organizations that see our program and they would like you to come
Absolutely.
to speak with them, and if it's a live presentation in front of a live audience, then you can actually respond to individual questions,
That'd
and
be
that
wonderful.
might be really
And we've got a couple
important.
lined up. We did one this weekend. We've got another one coming soon.
So the next opportunity is, again, a very generous offer from the Jingdezhen Ceramics University that Bill pointed out. The Yanjun is a co-founder of that, and he's made a very generous offer. It's 3 weeks full ride scholarship for any Door County resident to attend that school up to 3 weeks, including tuition, room and board, English translation, and travel from the airport to their school. And that's somebody who is interested in learning about ceramics, whether they're willing to take anybody at any level, from beginner to advanced. It's a very comprehensive school, so they got offerings in a whole range of techniques and relating to ceramics. So that's a tremendous offer.
And the offer is that they'd take as many as 2 people per month, up to 20 per year.
That's what I was just going to ask, is it time sensitive, or is it only one offer? So right now, it would be a matter of getting it into a schedule, but people could start planning now and go this summer if they
could
got in
start
touch with you.
contacting us, yes. And Bill and I are going to start to do some outreach and releases of information to get people.
Another opportunity is for artists to go there. As we have all this beautiful history and current culture of artists, whether they're painting, ceramics, sculpture, what have you. They would like to engage in an artist exchange program with our artists. So 1 or 2 would go there, they would send a couple here, and we'd spend some time together at each other's destination to learn the art and the culture of that other country.
I'm sure with the depth we have in our arts community, that could be a really terrific program for exchange.
They've also made an offer for a civil servant exchange program. So people working for government or not-for-profit organizations that would like to spend, up to a year in the other country. They would like a reciprocal person to come back and, of course, have a job here for somebody from China. So again, not an easy thing to put together, but there is that opportunity. If we could find somebody who would like to spend a year there working on, it sounds like they would probably work on that international fair that'd be coming up in 2015.
Yeah, they've offered a position actually in there.
Yeah. So again, we'd have to come up with a paid position for a Chinese person to fill here, so that there'd be some logistics in making that happen. The next offer, again, as I mentioned, we're still investigating identifying a wholesaler that could help us import or export products from Door County to China. So we're still in the learning process and trying to see what the full range of opportunity exists for that. And lastly, there's a very exciting redevelopment project happening in Jingdezhen. They have, again, it's a very historic city. Some of the historic ceramic factories are in disrepair, and now they're going in there and revitalizing those, rebuilding the buildings, rebuilding the public infrastructure, and putting new uses there. Retail, artists, probably manufacturing, office, residential are all going to be new uses put into these historic areas that are being renovated. And again, they've made offers to all 4 of their sister cities to have a presence in this new development. And that means, for one, having an outdoor space, a square, if you will, designed in the theme of our community. So the Door County theme square would be somewhat located in there. And again, Yanjun has already done some research, identified a very good location, and he says in this development that he is hoping to reserve in our name. And so all we have to do is come up with a design. So we're looking for a couple of
We need
landscape
some
architects.
of our architects. whether
Landscape
it's-
architects.
Okay, now that's an outside space, but it could be, there would be some kind of structure, so it would look like Door
Something
County.
that looks like what Door County is, and that's even difficult for
Right.
us, what exactly that is.
And then beyond that, adjacent to the Door County Square, Yanjun is working on landing investors to possibly open a Western-themed, Door County-themed retail or a shop or restaurant or coffee shop. You know, it's very flexible at this point. So we're looking for local Door County businesses that would like to know more about that opportunity and maybe have their products for sale in a private business venture, on our square in the redevelopment project.
In our square, they're asking us to give design ideas, but they would build this square at their cost.
So it really is an opportunity that we shouldn't miss.
Yep.
We shouldn't let it escape.
Slide 31 shows a rendering of what one of those redevelopment areas looks like. So, and the other thing I think is they're willing to offer to help for the team of landscape designers that are step up and would like to work on this. I think there's some opportunity for them to travel there and study the land and the environment, and make sure what the plans we come up with will work in that location. So there's another offer of support and assistance from our sister city.
Well, I've already got an idea. We make it an island with 3 bridges connecting it to the other part of
there
the
you go.
plaza.
There you
There
go.
you go. That's Dork, and a little bit of an island on one side for Washington.
Well,
Town of Washington, can't forget them.
And you can see how the Chinese have really reached out, and what they've done is given us a great challenge to try to live up to their lead.
Yeah.
And that's but we need help. We need people that are interested in this type of cultural experience.
We're looking to staff up a committee right now, or not staff up, but looking for volunteers to serve on a committee to, again, help us on furthering these projects. And no qualifications required, just an interest in seeing this relationship grow.
Well, the Door County Economic Development Corporation has had a few committees like that have been very successful, just asking people to come forward and give of their time and get their opinion, because it takes the community to do something like that. And Soil and Water, well, you pretty much keep us on track for just about everything else.
We point out all the time all the wonderful things Door County has because of all the volunteers. All the nonprofit groups and the arts and such. We have those because there's so many people who are willing to put time into it. Here's another opportunity, and it could be wonderful. And those who have not traveled to China, it also gets them there, and they can continue the travel a
Makes it
little bit
a
in
lot
the country.
easier, perhaps a trip that they never would have taken in their lives, and they've got an opportunity now.
And you sort of get your feet on the ground in a city where you have contacts and people are helping you out. And after a few
You're
days,
not just a foreigner in a
Right.
strange place.
you become
Yeah.
a visitor instead of a tourist.
Yes. So is there something else you'd like to let everyone know about when we wrap up here?
Well, I'd like to refer them to slide 32 where the Bill and my contact information is presented there. So contact either one of us if they have any
So-
questions or any interest in getting involved.
Email, telephone,
Sure.
both work. Both of your organizations have website activity, Door County Business for the Economic Development Corporation, and we go through a few steps with the Door County Government website, and we can find Soil and Water.
Right.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Bill Chaudoir, Executive Director, Door County Economic Development Corporation, and Bill Schuster, County Conservationist with the Soil and Water Conservation Department.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
You have been watching Access Door County. Access Door County is available exclusively on the Sevastopol Cable TV channel. Thank you very much. I am your host, Victoria Cerinich.